Greetings. I am here to talk to you about my October TBR today. I am literally only about to finish the first book that I started in October, and it is the 14th of October today, so we're making a lot of progress. So I'm gonna talk briefly about that first book that I'm still reading. I'm literally going to finish it like after the filming of this video, because you'll see I have like this much of it left. And that's Insomnia by Stephen King. So I'll kind of just briefly describe what that one is about, and then I will give a few tentative thoughts that I have about it. And then after that, I'll just kind of go over the other ones that are lined up for October. I will say right off the bat, this is definitely an ambitious TBR. In no way am I going to finish these books by the end of October. Like, we're halfway through October already. But I will go ahead and talk about them anyway, and we will act like I'm gonna read all of them, and it will be a good time. So let's go. Like I said, I'm gonna start off talking about this one, which is the one that I literally only have a sliver left of. This is Insomnia by Stephen King. This book really pulled me in, honestly, with the synopsis on the back of it. And I almost never read those things. And so I don't know what possessed me to read this one when I picked it up in a bookstore, but I did. And then I was like, this sounds amazing. I'm buying this now. And so I did. And it is about this gentleman who is in his 70s, and his wife has recently passed away. And so he starts to not be able to sleep through the night shortly after she passes away. To the point where he's waking up earlier and earlier every night until he's basically just not getting sleep. And when he stops being able to sleep, he starts to hallucinate and see things that are not really there, but might be really there. So there's this question of, are these hallucinations, or is there like a whole underbelly of this town that no one knows exists, and this guy is figuring it out. It's also set in the middle of a pro-life, versus pro-choice situation that is like erupting in this guy's town, which is Derry, Maine, by the way, which is a place where Stephen King sets a ton of his novels. But yeah, so this town is just like having a visit from a pro-choice speaker, and people are losing their minds about it. So everything just feels very on edge and crazy the whole time that you're reading it. As you can see, I'm almost done with it, and I really like it. I think it's like a really wild ride. It does get super weird, so if you're not really into books that are just way out there, then maybe I don't recommend this. But I really like it. I'm pretty positive I'm gonna give it a pretty high rating. I'm just not sure exactly how high, but yeah, it's pretty good so far. And so far, I say, having like 20 pages left. But yeah, I will definitely do a wrap up for this month, and I will give more thoughts about this when that happens. All right, so now I'm gonna get into the books that I haven't touched yet. Most of these I don't know anything about, but they are books that I plan to read before the end of October. I know for a fact that I am not gonna get through all of them, but it's a nice optimistic thought that I have that I will. So the first one is Gilead by Marilynne Robinson. This is a book that I have heard about for years watching BookTube. Marilynne Robinson is also an author whose name I'm familiar with. Now, I don't know if there is another book that I know her name from, or if it's just this one. But let me know, because this gives me two books. It says Housekeeping and Lila are two other books by her, but I've definitely never heard of either of them. So let me know if there is another like well-known book that she wrote besides these two and this one, just because I'm curious as to where I heard her name from. And it basically says, 24 years after her first novel, which is Housekeeping, Marilynne Robinson returns with a story about fathers and sons and the spiritual battles that still rage in America's heart. In the luminous and unforgettable voice of Congregationalist minister John Ames, Gilead reveals the human condition and, quote, manages to convey the miracle of existence itself. So that sounds very deep and philosophical, which is actually right up my alley, so we are good with that. This next book makes me so happy. This is Snow Country by, oh dear, Yasunari Kawabata. Yeah. And this came from the wonderful Emmy, who is a pretty big booktuber on here. She just raved about this book for so long, and I actually got so excited about it that I talked about it all the time. And my girlfriend, of course, picked up on it and got it for me for my birthday. And I was just like, you are amazing. Thank you so much. So I am so excited to get to this. I shoved this towards the front of my TBR pile because I'm that excited about it. Same thing, I really don't know much about it other than what Emmy has told me. I just know that it's very, very poetic and lyrically written, and basically that's all I need to know, honestly. So I'm just really thrilled to get into this. The next book is a very random one. It is Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. I almost said by Robinson Crusoe, so we're glad that didn't happen. But this is actually a book that I found on my brother's shelf, and he doesn't really read, so I was like, why do you have this? I don't understand. I think he read it for school or something, and so I was just like, you're gonna let me have that, right? And then he did. So I don't know anything about this really, but I'm sure it takes place on some type of like desert island. I'm sure there are a bunch of like sailor or pirate shenanigans going on. And I know that it's probably written in a considerably older writing style. That is the part that makes me the most nervous about this, because there are certain types of older writing styles that just grate on my nerves. I don't have trouble understanding them. I just find them really stiff and awkward to read, and I'm really hoping that this one isn't too bad. So we will see. I don't know if I'm going to finish this by the end of the month. I feel like there's a really good chance of it being kind of a slow read, even though I realize it's really not that long, but it might be slow. So if I pick this up and I start reading it and I'm like, this is gonna be the last thing I finish in October, and it's gonna like leak over into November for sure, then I'll probably put it down and just pick it up in November, because I just don't want it to slow down October for me, you know? So yeah, that is this one. I'm kind of excited about it, kind of don't know what to think about it, but we shall see. This is the second to last one, and I know I'm so embarrassingly behind on this one, but bear with me. It is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. Everyone seems to love this book. I don't know why. I don't know why it's so popular, but I would go to the bookstore and it would be right in the front all the time. And for me, honestly, that's a little bit of a turnoff initially, because I'm like, okay, this is just like a brand new thing. It's gonna die down soon, but this one did not die down. So I was like, after a few months, I was like, okay, I have to pick it up. So I finally went to the bookstore. It was still in the front of the store, and I was like, I can't avoid this anymore. I have to read it. So I picked it up. It sounds really creepy and like American Goth-like, which I actually really love. So for that reason, I'm excited about it. It says, for years, rumors of the Marsh Girl have haunted Barkley Cove, a quiet town on the North Carolina coast. In late 1969, when handsome Chase Andrews is found dead, the locals immediately suspect Kaya Clark, I think, the so-called Marsh Girl. But Kaya is not what they say. Sensitive and intelligent, she has survived for years alone in the marsh that she calls home, finding friends in the gulls and lessons in the sand. Then the time comes when she yearns to be touched and loved. When two young men from town become intrigued by her wild beauty, Kaya opens herself to a new life until the unthinkable happens. I don't like the way that was written at all, but you get the idea. I feel like this could go either way with me. After reading that synopsis, I'm not totally sure how I feel about it. I remember reading the first few sentences of it and getting a feel of the setting and getting excited about it, but like, I don't know, if there's a whole bunch of romance in here, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it, but we'll see. I'm still gonna read it. It's so popular. Like I have to know what the fuss is about. So we're gonna read it for sure. This last one, you can't even see what it's called. It's just a giant book. It is Sister Carrie. You can see it there, by Theodore Dreiser. This was a gift from one of my friends in grad school, and she had to read this for a class, and she was just like raving about it. Like she loved this book. I had never heard of it before, but she gave it to me because she loved it from this class that she was taking, and I still haven't read it. Dude, it was like December. It was Christmas of 2018, and I still have not touched it. But we're gonna touch it now, okay? We're gonna finally get to it. This I feel similarly about like Treasure Island, where I'm worried that the writing style is gonna put me off, but hopefully it will be okay. It's relatively long-ish. Let me see how small the print is, actually. Okay, the print is a reasonable size. It's not that small, so I think we're okay. But yeah, I'm excited because she was really excited about it. We generally have pretty similar literary tastes, so I think that it'll probably be good. I'm excited for it. I'm more excited for it than I am for Treasure Island, that's for sure. So that is all that I have. Fun fact, I actually, after these, I only have about, I would say like 10 more books that I own that I haven't read yet. And so I'm gonna just like actually need to go buy more books to like keep this going soon. I have like $20 left on a Barnes and Noble gift card, so I have that, and then we have a ton of like locally owned bookshops around here that I love to go to, so we can also hit those up, and then it'll be a good time. So please, this is like the ideal time to leave some book recommendations. Obviously I will watch BookTube and get more ideas from there, but this is a good time to be giving me recommendations. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all that I have. We'll see how far along I get when I'm finished with Insomnia. I will see how many more books I'm able to actually get to. But yes, I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.